Hello to everyone in the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community and all of our friends. This is Father Jonathan. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to continue our meditation on the Psalms of liturgical worship with the start of a new psalm of meditation, another of the psalms of what's called the Kekiragaria, the hymns of great Vespers that follow Psalm 141 and 142, the first line of the former, Lord, I have cried to you, Kyrie ekekrixa, is what gives the title of the Psalms, and all of these Psalms have this quality of crying out to God, crying out in times of need and in trouble. And Psalm 129, our present Psalm of reflection, is no different. The very first line of this psalm reads, out of the depths I have cried unto you, O Lord, hear my voice. St. Augustine writes in his commentary on the Psalms, Jonah cried from the deep, from the whale's belly. He was not only beneath the waves, but also in the entrails of the beast. Nevertheless, those waves and that body did not prevent his prayer from reaching God, and the beast's belly could not contain the voice of his prayer. It penetrated all things. It burst through all things. It reached the ears of God. Since the ears of God were in the heart of him who prayed, for where does not he whose voice is faithful have God present? He continues, but we also ought to understand from the depths we cry unto the Lord. For this mortal life is our deep. Whoever has understood himself to be in the depths cries out, groans, sighs, until he be delivered from the depths and comes unto him who sits above the depths. The reality is, brothers and sisters, as St. Augustine is telling us here, is that our life is like a great depth from which we call. And I'm sure we all can relate to this experience of life surrounding us like waves, surrounding us as if we are in the belly of a beast. Uncertain, fearful, anxious. And we desperately cry out to God in these times. And this psalm speaks to that feeling that we have, that we must cry out from the very depths, from the deepest parts, from the midst of the great struggles. This is where we cry out to God. But do we cry out to God? Do we really do it? Do we do it with authenticity? Do we do it with intentionality? Do we do it with understanding? That's the challenge. St. Augustine continues, for those who do not even cry from the deep are very deep in the depths. The scripture says, when the wicked has reached the depths of evil, he despiseth. Now consider, brethren, what sort of deep that is where God is despised. When each man sees himself overwhelmed with the daily sins, pressed down by heaps and weights, so to speak, of iniquities. If it is said unto him, pray to God. It's understandable, brothers and sisters, that the world can overwhelm us. It's understood, brothers and sisters, if it feels like we have no hope. For if we are not looking actively, seeking God, crying out to God in these times, it may feel like we are utterly alone, so much so that we begin to despise God for not being there. But because we are not actively engaged in our relationship with him, because we are not actively crying out to him, not just in times of trouble, but in times of joy. We cry out in thanksgiving to God if we are not in the habit of relating to God. When those difficult times come, when we feel like we're trapped in the beast of the sea, in the belly of a beast like Jonah, if it feels like we're trapped in a storm without any firm stability or anchor or place of refuge, it will feel like God isn't present because we're not in the habit of relating to him. And so in part, when we hear this psalm, we ought to be reminded to not cry out to God only in those difficult times, for of course we will, but to cry out to God at all times, in joy and in fear, in hope and uncertainty. If we constantly relate to God, it won't be something that we do by second thought. It won't be something that we do because we have to intend to do it, but because it is natural to us, because this is how we live our lives. We live our lives crying out to God in all circumstances, at every hour, every moment of the day, with unceasing consistency. This is how we ought to cry out to God. And in that way, we will live a life authentically, live a life of intentionality, live a life in communion with our God, for we will ever have him in our hearts and on our minds, and ever will his name be on our lips as we cry out to him. God bless you. We're here for you. We love you. Don't hesitate to reach out, call us, email us, leave us a note in the comment section, send us a message on social media. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. If you'd like to support this ministry, there'll be a link below. God bless you again. We love you dearly. Have a beautiful rest of your day.